How many of you here consider yourselves creative? Raise your hand. Oh, a good number of you. Look at that. How many of you do or did some kind of creative work as a profession? Who here sings in the shower? Or who sews? Or knits? Or likes to build or design things? Who likes to bake? Who likes to cook? Or garden? Or decorate? Who writes a journal? Or who likes to talk in funny voices or impersonate people? Let's see, who are you? Or who here likes to dance or play an instrument? If there's another way you like to be creative, feel free to call it out now. Ceramics? Cursive? Crocheting? Painting? Cursive is a good one. Crafts? Quilting? Poetry? So there are so many different ways of being creative, and we've barely scratched the surface. So I invite you this month to start looking at your whole life as a possibility for creative expression. Creativity is thinking outside of the box. It's a way to transcend the ordinary, using imagination to create new ideas or methods or artworks. In fact, Socrates believed that inspired ideas originate with the gods, and that the word inspiration is based on a Greek word meaning God breathes within. So there are many in this world, particularly in Los Angeles, and notably in this congregation, who have no problem being creatively expressive. We need only look at this service and admire the beautiful creative expression of David Davis, or see how our sanctuary's been designed and decorated, or go into our fellowship hall and see the artwork and ideas of our very own members. Creativity seems to flow easily from them. They have found a companion in creativity, a way to express who they are through music, through color, design, or words. And I celebrate that. I celebrate those of you who are able to access the creative spirit easily within you and share it with us all. But for those of us who sometimes feel removed from our creativity, who feel an inner longing but don't know how to express it, for those who yearn to be able to paint or dance or sing or write but find no real connection to it, it can be a struggle. Too many times I've heard from people, oh, I'm not creative. And I know how hard it is to have those internal critical messages that stop you from creating, that keep you confined to singing in the shower, or have you feeling like you have 2 left feet, or that you can only draw stick men, which is my case. In fact, some of us don't think of ourselves as creative because we don't create at a professional level. We denigrate our creative abilities because they don't meet some societal standard of excellence or not worth paying for, seemingly. Money has become an arbiter of ability. But my friends, I am here to remind us today that no matter what our level of creative ability, expressing ourselves is our birthright. And it's not just our birthright, it's vital for our mental health and well-being, and by extension, the health of our relationships, of this community, and even this planet. As the Greeks said, it may be one of the main ways for spirit, be it within us or beyond us, to pour through and express itself. Now, I'm aware that even talking about creativity in the face of the horrors of racism and terrorism going on throughout our country and the world is a sign of our privilege. Many don't have the luxury or the time or opportunity to even think about being creative. And yet many will respond to terror and despair by creating something. Some of the most moving films, music, dance, photography, prose, or art comes out of pain or loss. Jason Shelton, one of our beloved UU composers, wrote a song just a few days after the events in Charlottesville last year. His beautiful song that you sang last week, Love Break Our Hearts, helped us mourn and work through the collective pain and injustice of what happened there. Vedran Smalovic was principal cellist for the Sarajevo Opera in 1992 when he witnessed bombs and sniper fire killing friends and family across the street from his apartment at the local bakery. There was a long line of people waiting for their bread that morning who were all killed. He felt helpless and afraid as his city plunged into war. To overcome his fear and mental paralysis, he decided to do the only thing that he found healing. He went outside to the bomb site. He dressed in his formal wear, his tuxedo, and he set himself up on a small plastic stool in the middle of the rubble to play cello for hours. He continued to do this for 22 consecutive days to honor each of the victims of the bakery bombing. And in time, he became known as the cellist of Sarajevo and eventually helped write a children's book to help young people deal with tragedy and grief by performing beautiful, life-affirming acts. Creative expression can help us work through pain, struggle, and tragedy. I can't help marveling at the healing, even saving power of creativity and beauty during times of difficulty. My family and I often watch the show So You Think You Can Dance. Does anyone else watch that here? No, you got to watch it. It's really good. Oh, good. Yes, thank you. It's essentially a dance contest reality show with a lot of heart. And the number of young people who testify to their lives being saved from gangs or drugs or inner city violence by getting involved in street dance and expressing their creativity is a potent witness to the saving power of creative expression. Michael McCarthy, who spoke at our community forum last month, talked about the saving power of stories for prisoners. One of the prisoners told him that if he'd been given the chance to do art in high school, he might not have needed to commit the crime that put him in jail. If he'd been able to express his feelings through art, he may not have needed to rage in anger outside of himself. Again and again, McCarthy shared stories with us about how transformed prisoners felt by learning to share their stories and tap into their creative expression. But many of us stand admiringly on the outside, longing to be able to find our confidence in expressing ourselves creatively. We may wish we had the courage, the talent, or even the time to create. We think creativity is for others, not for us. And some of us, like in the story-ish this morning, had our creative spark killed by thoughtless comments in childhood. Look at young children and how delightedly they participate in all forms of creative expression, until outside voices come in and tell them that they're not doing it right or they have no talent for it. And that's the moment they begin to shut down and hear those critical voices inside their heads. I remember how my son, Gabriel, used to love drawing and painting as a little child, until one day he got some sense of how it should be done. He'd heard from someone at school that what he was painting wasn't good. So he stopped doing it with abandonment and delight, and now says he's no good at art. There's heartbreak when we're cut off from our natural instincts to be expressive. How many of you have a similar story in your lives? How many of you were told when you were young to stop singing or dancing or painting because you seemingly were not good enough? Just like our story earlier in which Ramon stopped drawing because of his brother's careless comment for a while. My heart broke as a young girl, enamored of dancing, when a teacher told me I would never amount to anything in ballet. She said in no uncertain terms when I was 7 that I should abandon my dreams of being a dancer. I love to dance. I love to express myself through movement, whether my toes are properly pointed or not. And it took me many years to find my confidence and joy in dance again. Now, as many of you know, I participate in something called Nica, which is an expressive dance class as exercise. And not only is my body healthier, but the creative self-expression that I get out of it transforms me every time. I can go in grumpy or feeling out of sorts, but every time I return home from Nica, I'm happy, fulfilled, and alive. It awakens the best part of me. And that teacher tried to kill that. It's so sad when people tell me, oh, I always loved to sing, but my choir teacher in elementary school told me to stop singing and mouth the words because she thought I was so awful. And then that person goes through life with the story, I can't sing, I have a terrible voice. And almost never gets freedom from that. The tragedy of something like that happening to us when we're young is that we shut down parts of ourselves. We shut down the freest, most expressive, joy-filled parts of ourselves to focus on being good at things and on doing them right, like people think we should do them. And it kills something inside that I believe is our birthright. The opportunity to express ourselves creatively and spontaneously. Part of our spirit dies. And the more our spirit is crushed, the more I believe we're prone to depression, we're prone to suffering, anger, and abandonment of our inner selves. For some, the lack of being able to express themselves creatively can even lead to mental illness. And vice versa, the freedom to create can also protect you from mental illness. Or at the very least can provide an outlet for the relentless voices in our heads. According to the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. This suggests that if we want to live whole, healthy lives, unexpressed is not an option. Expressing ourselves fully is a necessity. Now, in the 1990s, I trained as a creative arts therapist. And rather than people coming to us and simply talking about their problems, we would encourage them to express what they were thinking and feeling through paint, through dance, through song, through movement, clay, poetry, sand, tray play, and more. And it was such a privilege to behold people who were stuck in big problems were able to express them and discover their own solutions by coming at them from another angle. People who were trapped in old pain, whether it was physical or sexual abuse, or dealing with the death of a loved one, or failed relationships, or any number of painful life experiences, they found healing in expressing their stories creatively. By creating metaphors or finding alternative ways to embody what they were feeling, clients bypassed the rational left brain and were able to find new meaning and a deeper understanding of their situation that was beyond words. Something about the creative expression of their issues freed them to understand them from a different perspective. And it often created breakthroughs that years of talk therapy had failed to do. Julia Cameron, who's the writer of the iconic book, The Artist's Way, says that creativity is an opportunity to metabolize pain as energy, to use it, move it, and express it. So even if your creativity is not about joyous self-expression or skill, but rather a way to work through pain or struggle, it is equally, if not more, worthy and necessary. Now, although I have plenty of opportunities to be creative, creating services every week, there are times when I feel shut down and disconnected. Times when I'm sucked into emails, endless to-do lists, and the relentless demands of work and family. And at those times, I can feel like a hollow shadow of myself. I feel less whole. I feel less able to minister well. And I feel out of balance. The problem is that the more we have to do in life, the less room there is for the unexpected, for the nourishing whisper of spirit to come through us. We have to make room in our lives for the muse to arise and for us to be able to hear its whisper. Process theology and science assert that this is a creative universe. The universe is ever expanding and evolving, and we are part of that creative expansion. So when we live our lives creatively, we are in the flow of universal energy, of what we're here to do. We are here, as process theologian Henry Nelson Wyman says, to engage in creative interchange. We are here to add to this universe by our existence and by our interactions. Wyman says that the way we experience the divine is in creativity, our own and others. That bears repeating. The way we experience the divine, and substitute the words depth and meaning if you're more comfortable, is in creativity. That overarching creative momentum in the universe, as process theology explains, lures us to create and calls us to be co-creators of this existence. Creativity is our natural state. We are here to weave our own breath, our individual spirits, the works of our bodies, and our unique ideas into the tapestry of life. The Artist's Way talks about how to reignite your creative spirit. Julia Cameron defines creativity as a spiritual need, as a way to combat the loneliness of existence, to be fully ourselves and whole. And she offers multiple tools for reclaiming your creative expression. If you've never read it and long to spark your creative spirit, I highly recommend it. It gives you daily practices that you can do to awaken your creativity. Expressing yourself creatively also brings back a sense of wonder and joy to life, as well as meaning and connection. It provides a different lens through which to observe life. Imagine watching a sunrise and writing a poem about it, or painting it, or singing about it. We're almost never that attentive and present in the moment with anything, observing its beauty, taking in the wonder of existence. And that quality of attention, that ability to find delight, helps us feel more loving, more whole, and alive. So I want to close with a quote from creativity coach Steph Cowling. She writes, "What you paint, write, sing, dance, cook, sew, compose, construct, draw, or act can change this moment of life into something magical, something meaningful, purposeful, or real. Art can save you," she says. "If you do not express what is inside you, it can destroy you. If you do express it, it can save your life." She and the Gnostics seem to be in alignment about this. So my friends, I invite you during this beautiful month of creativity to play. I invite you to express your feelings and what is inside you. Put your handprints on our art wall next door. Write a poem and post it up there. Sing a song or build something, whatever seems like fun to you. And if you're struggling with something, feeling depressed or anxious, try creating something with those feelings. Whatever lets you express your inner being, your unique essence, and helps you feel more fully you. As David sang earlier, just do you. So to spark our creative spirit now, we're going to take a moment for a little fun together. So if our ushers would gather our baskets, which we're going to pass out, they're filled with paint color chips, you know, those samples you get at Home Depot and places like that. Please take one or more and take a look at the color and ask yourself, what does it evoke for you? What does it remind you of? And if you can, and your eyes allow it, read the name of the color on the card and see if that sparks any images or ideas for you. Allow yourself to dream, to wonder, to be spontaneous. What might this color and name, we're going to have a chance to talk about it in just a minute, but what does this color inspire in your life with this name? And once you've had a chance to muse on it, I invite you to turn to a person near you and share what this color or word stimulate in your thinking. And after you've finished, I invite you to say to each other, may your creative spirit be sparked. May your creative spirit be sparked. Have you got that? All right, once you have your card, turn to someone near you and share what this evokes for you. We can continue sparking our creative spirits in the fellowship hall in our coffee hour afterwards. So my friends, at the end of the service, can everyone hear me? At the end of the service, you may wish to hold on to your card, or you may put it on our art wall in Fellowship Hall so that it forms part of our community mosaic. And up on the wall there's a place to put your color card, and that way it becomes part of our collective expression of creativity. So my friends, may you listen to and explore the creative whispers in your heart. May you find the courage to contribute your unique creations to the ever-expanding universe. May you pay attention to and honor the magic in yourself and those around you. Your well-being and that of the planet depend upon it. May it be so.